Good day, everyone. This is TalentoAlbayano. In the previous video, we talked about the intellectual property of Apple Inc. And right now, in this video, we will be talking about Apple Inc. security policies, laws, and computer crime investigation. So, a bit of an introduction. In cybersecurity, security policies serve as established rules and practices defining the framework for maintaining data, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Concurrently, laws in the context of cybersecurity and data protection constitute legal frameworks dictating responsibilities and consequences, ensuring privacy and preventing unauthorized access. Complementing these measures, computer crime investigations involve forensic techniques to analyze digital evidence, aiming to identify and prosecute individuals engaged in cybercrimes. Together, these elements form a comprehensive approach encompassing proactive measures, legal compliance, and forensic analysis to establish and maintain a secure digital environment. So, what is the importance of security policies, laws, and computer crime investigations? The importance of security policies, laws, and computer crime investigation lies in the collective ability to establish a comprehensive and resilient defense against cyber threats. Together, they provide a proactive, legally compliant, and responsive approach to cybersecurity, safeguarding not only data and technology assets but also the trust and confidence of users and stakeholders in the digital domain. So let's head into the Apple security policies. We have three. It's user privacy, App Store guidelines, and device security. So user privacy. User privacy uses end-to-end encryption, definition and implementation. End-to-end encryption, or E2EE, ensures that only the sender and recipient can read the message. Apple employs E2EE in iMessage and FaceTime, securing text message, photos, videos, and calls. Implementation in iMessage and FaceTime. All communications through these platforms are encrypted, making it extremely difficult for unauthorized parties to intercept or access user content. User controls and key. User control. Users have control over the encryption keys, meaning that even Apple cannot decrypt the content of their message, and there will be no backdoor access. Apple's design ensures that even under legal or governmental pressure, it cannot provide access to encrypted user data. Now, examples of this will be discussed later on. Um, Again, in user privacy, privacy labels in the App Store, introduction to Apple App Store privacy labels. Purpose: Apple introduced privacy labels to inform users about how apps collect and use their data. And developers are required to disclose their data practices to provide users with transparent information before downloading an app. So that's the beauty of the Apple App Store, is that what you call it? Because they require developers to disclose their data practices so that um, before it gets published in the App Store or before users can download it or use it, they know what they are dealing with. So the categories covered are data categories, which are privacy labels cover data related to tracking users, leaking data to users, and other categories, providing a comprehensive overview of an app's data usage. And it empowers users. This empowers users to make informed choices about the apps they use, considering the privacy implications. Um, the third one will be the impact on app developers. So, increased transparency, it provides privacy labels have led to increased transparency among app developers regarding their data collection practices and user trust. Developers complying with these guidelines build trust with users concerned about their privacy. Now, based on my observation with the debate about Androids and Apple or iPhones, there's really a tendency between with Apple users that they pick Apple not by the brand but by their trust on the product. So next will be the App Store guidelines. So There's an app review process. It is a stringent process. Apple's app review process involves a thorough examination of each app before it's available on the App Store. Quality control. This process helps ensure the quality, security, and privacy of apps available to users. Security and privacy checks. Data security checks. Apple assesses how apps handle user data, ensuring they adhere to strict security and privacy standards. App behavior. The review process examines an app behavior to identify any potential security vulnerabilities. App removal and enforcement. Policy enforcement. Apps violating Apple's guidelines are removed, maintaining a secure and trustworthy App Store environment. And then user protection. Enforcing guidelines protects users from potentially harmful or deceptive apps. Now, these are the guidelines for app developers. So, for their data collection and usage, so for user content, developers must be transparent about data collection practices and obtaining user consent before accessing sensitive information. And limiting data. Apple encourages developers to collect only the data necessary for app functionality, minimizing privacy risk. Monetization policies. In app purchases, guidelines ensure fair practice regarding in app purchases, subscriptions, and advertising. Now, user friendly monetization. Monetization policies aim to create a positive user experience without compromising user privacy. And then security best practices. Secure coding practices. Apple recommends secure coding practice to prevent vulnerabilities. Regular updates. Regular updates are encouraged to address security concerns and enhance app security over time. Now, regarding the security coding practices, here are some iOS app security best practice. So, number one is consumer privacy necessity. It prioritizes end user privacy as a primary requirement. Number two, principle of least privilege. Every element of an app should have the least possible access privilege necessary to function effectively, as previously discussed. Regular updates and patches, securing coding practices, avoiding hard coding sensitive information such as password or API keys within the app. And yeah, that was four of the best security practice iOS developers use. Now for device security, there's a hardware security features. Example are secure enclave. Introduction. Secure enclave, a dedicated chip storing sensitive information separately, enhancing device security, and it has tamper resistance. Hardware security features protect against physical tampering and unauthorized access. Biometric security. Touch ID and Face ID. Biometrics features provide secure and convenient user authentication. Protected authentication. Biometric data is stored securely within the device, adding an extra layer of protection. Now, the iOS security features regular updates, as previously discussed. Regular iOS updates include security patches and improvements addressing potential vulnerabilities, and the App Store verification, where apps are available in the App Store undergo scrutiny, ensuring they meet security standards. Sandbox and permission. App Sandbox. Each app operates in a restricted environment, limiting access to device resources. And then granular permission. Users have control over app permissions, enhancing overall device security. On the next section, we will be discussing the legal frameworks. So, Apple has a cross-functional approach to privacy governance. Privacy governance covers all areas of the company and includes both customer and employee data. The legal team of Apple has a vice president in charge of privacy and law enforcement compliance who reports directly to Apple's general counsel. Apple has a privacy engineering team that partners with the privacy legal team and dedicated product counsel to design products from the ground up to protect customer privacy and to ensure that Apple protect the data as long as it remains under the control of Apple. This includes strong processes around ensuring that data collected is used only for intended lawful purposes. So the legal framework. Compliance with data protection laws. So the GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, is a comprehensive data protection regulation enacted by the European Union. Apple being Apple being a global company adheres to GDPR standards to ensure the protection of user privacy. The regulation outlines stringent requirements for the collection, processing, and storage of personal data, and Apple's compliance ensure that the user data is handled in accordance with these provisions. The CCPA, California Consumer Privacy Act. The CCPA is a significant piece of privacy legislation in the United States, specifically in California. Apple complies with the CCPA, reflecting its commitment to protecting user privacy rights. The Act grants consumer control over their personal information held by business and requires transparent data practices, aligning with Apple's emphasis on user data transparency and control. Now, user consent and transparency. So this is how Apple obtains user consent. So through transparent onboarding. During the initial setup of Apple devices and when users install apps, Apple ensures a transparent onboarding process. Users are presented with clear prompts explaining how and why their data may be used, and they have the option to consent or decline. Now, in their privacy settings, Apple provides users with granular control over privacy settings, allowing them to manage app permission and control on how their data is shared. Transparency reports. Regular publications, Apple issues transparency reports periodically, detailing government requests for user data, app takedowns, and compliance with legal obligations. These reports these reports reflects Apple's commitment to transparency and accountability, providing users and the public with insights into how the company handled data requests. Now for government requests. Apple's respond to government requests for user data. Legal process adherence. Apple follows a strict legal process when responding to government requests for user data. Requests must adhere to applicable laws, and Apple evaluates each request to ensure it meets legal standards before providing any data. User notification. In cases where it is legally permissible, Apple notifies user about government requests for their data, allowing users to challenge the request in court if they wish. So Apple's legal stand on user privacy. User-centric User-centric approach. Apple has consistently maintained a user-centric approach to privacy, resisting pressure to compromise on user data protection. The company has been known to challenge legal requests that it deems overly broad or infringing on user privacy rights. Advocacy for strong encryption. Apple advocates for strong encryption to protect user data. Even in the face of legal and governmental pressures, this commitment aligns with its broader philosophy of putting user privacy at the forefront of its products and services. Now let us talk about Apple's computer crime investigation. Apple's approach to computer crime investigations involves a careful collaboration with law enforcement while upholding the principles of user privacy. The notable cases the company has been involved in have far-reaching implications, influencing legal precedents and shaping discussions on the delicate balance between privacy and law enforcement needs. So, collaboration with law enforcement. Apple's cooperation investigations. Apple maintains a commitment to lawful cooperation with law enforcement agencies when conducting computer crime investigations. The company adheres to legal procedures and standards, providing necessary information and assistance to support investigation into cybercrime. So, Apple collaborates with law enforcement agencies globally, sharing information and expertise to address cyber threats effectively. This collaborative approach helps in the identification and apprehension of cybercriminals. So in Apple, there's balance between privacy and law enforcement needs. So to safeguard user privacy, while cooperating with law enforcement, Apple places a high premium on safeguarding user privacy. The company carefully balances the needs of law enforcement with the protection of user data, ensuring that any disclosure aligns with legal requirements and respects user rights. And with legal scrutiny, Apple subjects law enforcement requests to legal scrutiny, pushing back against overly broad or invasive demands. This commitment underscores the delicate balance between supporting criminal investigations and preserving user privacy. So, some of the notable cases of Apple's criminal case investigation, uh, computer criminal computer investigations, is the San Bernardino iPhone case in 2016, where Apple gained widespread attention when it resisted a court order to assist the FBI in unlocking an iPhone used by a perpetrator in the San Bernardino terrorist attack. Apple argued that creating a backdoor would compromise the security of all users and set a precedent for privacy erosion. And another one would be the FBI versus Apple 2018, when Apple has been involved in various legal battles with the FBI over access to encrypted devices. These cases highlight the ongoing tension between privacy concerns and law enforcement needs for access to information during investigation. So the outcomes and implications of these notable cases. In legal precedents, high-profile cases involving Apple have set legal precedents regarding user privacy and data access. The outcomes of these cases have significant implications for the tech industry, shaping discussions around encryption, user rights, and the responsibilities of technology companies and public discourse. Apple's involvement in these cases has fueled public discourse on the balance between individual privacy and collective security. It has spurred conversion between about the role of technology companies in aiding law enforcement without compromising user privacy. So, in conclusion, our exploration of Apple Inc.'s scrutiny policies, legal compliance, and computer crime investigations reveal a multifaceted approach to safeguarding user data and maintaining a secure digital environment. Security policies form the foundation, encompassing proactive measures to mitigate risk, and Apple diligently complies with data protection laws such as the GDPR and CCPA, demonstrating a commitment to user privacy on a global scale. The company prioritizes transparent user consent procedures and regularly issues transparency records or reports, fostering trust through openness. Now, Apple's dedication to security and privacy remains unwavering. The company continues to innovate in the realm of hardware and software security, incorporating features as end-to-end encryption, secure enclaves, and robust access control. Adhering to legal frameworks and participating in high-profile cases, Apple advocates for user privacy rights and strives to set industry standards. As technology evolves, Apple persists in its mission to provide cutting-edge products and services without compromising the trust and privacy of its users. That will be all. Thank you very much.